I am your victory coach, and we are here for the morning tea this morning. What do? I help wives, busy professional women, and kingdom leaders build the life that they've always dreamed of and live there. Yeah, that's a key word that I want you to live in that happy, healthy, wealthy place, right? Um, what is the morning tea? During this morning, I'm going to do a little bit of a teaching, and after this teaching, I hope that you will feel equipped. I hope you will feel encouraged. I hope you will feel empowered. I hope you'll feel educated to act. That you will be moved to action. Thank you to the replay viewers, those people that will be viewing this at a later time. Thank you so much for listening till its entirety. I think it's going to be a good one today, y'all. Okay. So, yesterday we were talking about third quarter huddle. That it is time that for the second half. We finished the first half. Now we're on to the second half. And I didn't even realize it yesterday that yesterday was actually kind of these few days. This is literally the middle of the year. And so yesterday we talked about being intentional, that you have to be intentional about the things that you were going to do. And as we were getting off, we were talking about the crossover, that some of us are having to learn how to do some things differently. That I know we've always done it. It's been the same way for 40, 50 years. But guess what? Now it's time to do something different because we want change. We want to change the narrative. And so today I have a question for you. Are you divergent? Are you one of those people that don't fit? You've always felt like, man, everybody else was going right. Why are you going left? You've been called disobedient. You've been called defiant. You weren't the person to play follow the leader. You were the leader all the time. Those types of people. Um, that God has moved you to it from a place of or. You wanted to do this or that. And God is saying, and. God is saying, I need you to do this and this. I have given you a grace. These people, divergents, are graced to do more than one thing. They're not just, I'm going to do this one simple thing, right? So, what is a divergent? Divergent, by definition, is tending to be different or develop in different directions, right? And so I love movies. Those of you that'll be around a lot, you'll hear me make reference to movies. God really speaks to me through movies. So in 2014, a movie came out called Divergent. It was based off of the book written by Veronica Roth in 2011. And so there were five fashions, and these were basically the classes. That's like rich, middle class, under. Well, I'm not even gonna say that. There's the working class, the middle class, and then there's upper class, and then there's the impoverished, right? So that's where we kind of are in our society. So the five factions in this movie were abrogation. These were the selfless people, right? Um, amity, peaceful. Candor were the people that were honest. Dauntless, who were the brave. And these were mostly military people. And then the erudite, the intellectuals, that all they did was sit and think all day, right? And so there were five factions, and then there were the people that didn't fit into any of them. And so they didn't really have, um, they would be underprivileged because they had no status or privilege. So really, they had no say, right? And so, but the thing was, once you picked one, you had to live in that space for life. Have some of you been put in a place and people are telling you you've got to live in that place for life? I know where you grew up. I knew you grew up in poverty. I know you grew up on the south side of wherever. I know that somebody told you this is what you will always be, but you know deep down inside that there's something calling for greater. There's something that keeps pulling you to another place. There's something that taps you on the shoulder and says, no, that's not who you are. And you don't understand it, right? You just kind of like, going through the motions like, okay, I know this is what they tell me I'm supposed to do, but you just never felt like that fit. You didn't want to rock the boat. You didn't want to, push against the, you didn't want to push against things too much, because you stayed in trouble for that, right? When you were younger, you had all these big ideas and people were like, girl, go over there and sit down somewhere. Why you always got your head in the clouds? Does that sound familiar? Okay. So in the movie, at 16, you went through a test, and this test would tell you which faction you were supposed to be in. It would tell you which one you were, which was best suited for you. Okay. Good morning, Kamita. It would tell you which one was best suited for you, and so but you got to choose. They may tell you Dauntless was for you, but you may say, no, I'm more of a candor kind of girl. I want to be candor. And so just because you were born into Dauntless does not mean that that's where you had to stay. Correct? Okay. So they got to choose. But there was a group of people that didn't really fit in one particular faction, that their brain worked differently, that their mind was like open. And so when you tried to do certain things, it didn't work on them, right? They couldn't be, divergents aren't easily controlled because their mind isn't single focused. Their mind is over here, over here. They have very good reasoning skills. So are you divergent? Is that why you don't fit the mold? Is that why you haven't fit in when they tell you this is who you're supposed to be? Um, in the church, in the religious arena, we have the fivefold ministry gifts, where some people, they don't mind being a pastor. They just don't want to prophesy. They don't want to be a prophet. They don't people don't want to be an evangelist, but they want to be a teacher. But some people, not everybody, but some people, when it comes to the different gifts and callings on your life, some people are divergent. Some of y'all, it's not just one. You want to fit into this one little mold, and I wanted to be a coach. That's all I wanted to be. I was like, cool, I can be a coach. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to fit into the coach model. And God said, no, but I've called you to more. I've called you to preach. I've called you to teach. I've called you to prophesy. I've called you to be more than just a coach. And so you have to embrace, I want you to embrace what, if you are divergent, I want you to embrace that. I want you to be okay that you would be different. It's okay to be different. Different. Because some of us just want to be the same. We want to look like everybody else. We want to sound like everybody else. We want to do what everybody else is doing. And God is saying, no, I've called you to more. I've called you to be a better version of this person, this shell that you're trying to live in right now. And it's time for the crossover. Remember, we were talking about the crossover yesterday. The enemy loves that you are staying the same, but God is calling you to more. And it's on that next level, that next step that God is really going to develop. He's really going to let you know what it is. Because when she chose not to be what other people called her, when she embraced who she was. Good morning, Tasha. Good morning, Wendy. Thanks for coming in this morning. When she was able to choose. Now, it was hard, y'all. It was hard to learn something new. She did not grow up. She didn't grow up brave. She didn't grow up in dauntless. She just knew she didn't fit where she was. So she had to learn. She had to perfect this new place. So there are some things that God is asking you to do, that He's pushing you to do, that nobody in your family has ever done. But if you watch the series, can I tell you, her mom chose a different faction as well. but her mom came from Dauntless. So she didn't choose something that was not within her. Okay. She didn't choose something that was foreign to her DNA. She just didn't know that wasn't something that they talked about. They didn't talk about where her mom and her dad came from. They just always talked about what she grew up in. So later on in the series, in the movies, you find out that her mom chose a different faction. Right. We should all be growing and multiplying, even if within nothing, no one says this. Right. It stays the same. It's evolution. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. When you put a plant into a flower pot, if it's not allowed to grow, if those roots aren't allowed to expand, it starts to die. If you let water sit still too long, you start to get algae, you start to get bacteria. So there should always be motion, there should always be movement. Okay. And so divergence, they're not easily controlled because they're not singular minded. These are the people that think outside the box. And so these are the people that are like, what box? What are you talking about? There is no box. Anything is possible because they're visionaries. And these people are a threat. They're often considered a threat that people look at them and they be like, you need these people on your team, but a lot of times you don't want them on your team because you don't know how to handle them. They can't be controlled, but you need them. Think about it like this. We probably, if we did not have divergence, if we did not have these people that could think outside the box, we wouldn't have airplanes, we wouldn't have cars, we wouldn't have computers, we wouldn't have this way of us connecting because I'm connecting to people all around the world and I'm sitting in my home. We wouldn't have that if we didn't have people that were divergent. So why are you, if divergents are important, if these people that can think outside the box, these people that walk to a different beat, these people that don't fit are necessary, why are you trying to be normal? Remember, we talked about that word came up yesterday. What is normal anyway? Romans 12:2 says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. You're divergent. So you can't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. It starts here. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. What if we surrendered what people put on us, labels that people put on us, and we really became the men and the women that God has created and ordained us to be? What if we said, you know what? I understand I grew up this way. I understand that I went to school here. I understand that, you know what? It was good. It's not my passion, but, it was a good job, right? Good morning, Raquel. Thanks for coming in. It was a good job. When I graduated from school, everybody was trying to do this. So, and everybody's always going to use an attorney. So I became an attorney. I'm not passionate about it, but hey, it is what it is. What if we got rid of that mindset and doing things just because it's what we're out of obligation and stop doing things because of money? And we really tapped into what am I really supposed to be doing? What if we really tapped into that place of purpose? What if we really tapped into that place of passion? That thing that gets you up in the morning, that thing that you would do even if you didn't get paid. What is that thing? What if we tapped into that place and really began to show up and infect and affect the world around us? What if we embraced the fact that we are divergent? We're different. In this world, you have leaders and you have followers, and they're both necessary. Everybody's not a leader. Everybody wasn't meant to be a follower. But you've got to know and embrace how you were created. Be okay being different. Coach gives you permission. I give you permission to be different today. Okay? So, are you divergent? Do you think outside the box? Are you the person that, when you're looking at something, yeah, dare to be different. When you're looking at it, that it's like, you're looking at it, and everybody else is like, it's green, and you're like, well, not really. It's kind of, well, you had to turn your head to really look at it, and it's like, well, maybe. Y'all, for years, I was divergent. I am divergent, and I don't fit the normal mold of what people think and what people say I should be. And for years, I tried to fight against it. And I would try to do everything to fit in. And I was miserable. Me making them comfortable made me miserable. Good morning, Brother Michael. You shouldn't have to be miserable for others to be comfortable. That's not what divergence do. Divergence, divergence disrupt. We come in and we just start messing with stuff. It ends up better, y'all. But sometimes we have to shift the mindset. We have to have that renewing um, of the mind. Because I remember when computers first came out. I remember when they said the internet was the devil, right? Nobody, it's not. We're not using it. It's mind control. It's this, it's that. And now this is one of the, just think with this pandemic, what would have happened if the internet and computers was not around? How would we stay into contact with each other when we've been under quarantine if none of this technology was here? Seriously. So sometimes it may be that you are before your time, but can I tell you, good morning, Glenna. Thank you for coming in, Auntie. Sometimes you've got to be okay with that. You've got to be okay with being the forerunner. You've got to be okay with being the trailblazer. You've got to be okay being divergent, unique, different, the person that stands out. Because your destiny, there are people, generations, countries attached to your destiny. And if you blend in and you fit in and you never reach what, the capacity that you're supposed to reach, then guess what? Their lives are at stake. It's bigger than you. Now that's for everybody, but especially if you're divergent. If you know that you fall into that place where you're not easily controlled, you think outside the box, you're a visionary, you see what others can't see. There are millions, there are billions of people that are connected to you. So be okay being different. This is part of your third quarter huddle. I just want you to know it's okay. I want you to be intentional, and I want you to be okay being different. That when God tells you to cross over, I need you to cross over. I need you, in the middle of the game, the coach may say, switch, he's like, switch. That means you were on this side, but now you take on another player, okay? That you may have to do something else. They may be looking for you to be on the wing, but now he may say, no, I'm gonna need you to be the point guard. I'm gonna need you to do something different. When you're divergent, be obedient. You have a grace to do more than one thing. You have a grace to think differently. You have a grace. But some of us have not even tapped into that grace yet. You just want to be this right here. No, I am the intercessor. When he calls, you'll be ready. Nope, I'm just the intercessor. All I do is pray. 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 All I do is sing. All I do is sing. All I do is sing. All I do is I just write. All I do is write. All I do is write. And God is saying, I have more. And for some of you, He's like, I have need of you. You've been hearing it in your spirit. I have need of you. But what He has need of in this hour is different from what you've been doing. And so you've been kind of hesitant. You've been kind of pushing back. You've been kind of being like, but it's not, can I tell you, it's not out of your wheelhouse. It's a part of your DNA. You just haven't tapped into it. You just haven't yielded to it. You haven't walked in it before. But it doesn't mean that it's not ordained for you to walk in. Because a lot of times, y'all, like I said, when she really started looking at her family, Dauntless was not something different. Dauntless was a part of her genealogy. So some of the things that God is calling you to do in this hour, it's not it you haven't done it yet, but when you really start to look through your family, it's there. It's a part of your DNA. It's a part of who you are. You just ain't tapped into it yet. And just because you haven't tapped into it yet doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it um, not available to you. Some things lie dormant until it's time, until it's time for it to be awakened, until it's needed. God is calling for the divergence. He's calling for the people that don't fit the mold. He's calling for the people that can think outside the box. He's calling for his visionaries that can see past this current situation and see into what he sees. That people that can see the end of a thing. That they're going into this season with the end in mind. He's saying, where are my divergents? Where are my people that can pivot? Where are my people that can be flexible in this season? Where are my people that can stand to be different? Where are they? Where are my divergents? Because it's not either or, it's and. I want you to do this and this. Because y'all, a lot of times it's not what you do. You're more than what you do. You're more than the position you hold. It's who you are. Who are you? At the core of who you are, who are you? And so that's your homework today. I don't want you to walk in. I want you to look at your life, and I want you to see, who are you? Not what you do, not the positions you hold. Um, just because you worked in children's ministry because that's what they needed. I don't want you to do that. I want you to really go to God and say, who am I? Who am I? What are you calling me to do? What is my purpose in this season right now? I know you've done it for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. I know you've done that one thing, but God is tapping you on the shoulder and saying, there's more. So I want you to allow him to reveal the more to you. And if you're a follower and you just have one thing, okay, let him reveal that one thing. And let me tell you something, you do that one thing till the wheels fall off, okay? But for many of you that I see on this live, and many of you that are coming into this live at a later time, you're divergent and you've been fighting the process. God is calling you to more, and you're like, no, I'm good. I'm good right here. This is good. Can we just do this? And he says, there is more. So Are you divergent? Are you different? Do you think outside the box, but you don't want to tell anybody? Are you a visionary? Can you see what God is doing in the midst of chaos? You're one of the ones that are sitting there seeing the hand of God just kind of move through it, and it settles you. You're divergent. You're not thinking like everybody else. You understand Romans 12 and 2, that you don't have to be conformed to this world, but you can be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And you want to help everybody else get there. We don't have to do what everybody else is doing. We don't have to do it this way. We don't have to live this way. We don't have to. Divergent. Good morning, sis. Thanks for coming in. Divergent. You did something that nobody else did, and then you had to train everybody else you know how to do it. Because now you're starting to, God is using you and your life to transform their mindset, because they're looking at you saying, if she can do it, I can do it too. If he can do it, I can do it too. If he can come out, I can come out too. If they can get a better job, guess what? I can get a better one too. So, guys, be divergent. If you are divergent, if you're different, embrace it, own it, allow God to reveal it, the depth of it to you, because there is more to you than what you see today. So just because you were born into something doesn't mean you have to stay in it, okay? So I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Be careful, be safe over this Independence holiday. If you need to connect with me, go to my website, www.thecassandrawilliams.com. You can learn about my coaching. You can learn about me. You can learn about my coaching programs. I have t-shirts. I have books. I am a 6-time author. I have my books, which are like journals. They actually walk you through different processes of your life. So those are out there as well. T-shirts, coaching programs, different things of that nature. So if I can ever be of service to you, please reach out to me, and I will see you guys. I will see you guys on Tuesday. But as you celebrate this Independence weekend, please be safe. Okay? Be safe. And I will see you all on Tuesday. Have an amazing rest of your day.